this morning, but a new advertising campaign's been launched by Father Peter's organisation, which is underlying the problem of homelessness. Father Peter, can you tell us, what do these adverts entail? What do they say to people?
Well, this particular ad, it was the winning entry in a competition held amongst young creative advertisers, and the theme of it is keys, the key to the door. It shows how it connects people to homeless people through this concept of keys. We all have keys. We all have keys to our front door. Some of us have keys to cars, and we know how important those keys are to us, especially when we lose them and we're inconvenienced. So the theme of this is that for most homeless people, simply what they want is the key to their own front door, and that's what Peter McVerry Trust is trying to provide for as many homeless people as possible. We don't want to continually be running hostels year in, year out. We want to give homeless people the key to their own front door, and so it connects people with homeless people through this concept of keys. The other thing it does is it gets away from the stereotypical image of homeless people as people with a drug problem or an alcohol problem and lying in a doorway. The vast majority of people who are homeless today have only got one problem. They don't have the money to pay for their own accommodation. They don't have multiple problems, and their homelessness is not their own fault. And this ad shows that. It shows a homeless person who is absolutely indistinguishable from anybody else sitting in a cafe. The only thing that makes the difference is when he opens his hand, he shows you a key ring and there's no key on it. And so it's about changing the perception of homelessness and trying to make the public more aware that the majority of people who are homeless today never for one moment in their lives ever thought they would become homeless. There's no them and us in this. Oh. There's only us. We are all potentially, if circumstances change, we could all become homeless.
Quite a poignant image, I think, Peter, that this depicts the idea of a keychain with no key on it. But at the end of the day, adverts are not going to end the homeless crisis in this country. I remember that press briefing at government buildings a couple of weeks ago when you stood up and you said to Enda Kenny, some of these measures are welcome, but they're not enough.
No, advertising isn't going to end homelessness. The Peter McVerry Trust isn't going to end homelessness, but we want to play our small little part in trying to end homelessness. We have 150 homeless people living in their own apartment at the moment. It's only a drop in the ocean, but for every one of those 150 people, getting the key to their own front door has transformed their lives. It has given them a hope for the future, and it has enabled them to plan a more positive, constructive life for themselves. And that's the direction we want to move in. We hope also, of course, that this ad will generate some revenue for us so that we can continue to provide more accommodation for homeless people in their own homes.
And Peter, will you comment on this report from the Simon community today? Obviously they work closely with yourselves and other agencies because it's a cooperative approach. They say that just 20% of rental properties are in reach of those on rent supplement. That's despite the fact that rent supplement went up by 15%. So this is all to do with the HAP payments. It's clearly not making enough inroads.
No, it's not. And even of those 20% that are available within the limits of the rent supplement or the HAP scheme, many of those landlords won't accept people on the rent supplement or the HAP scheme. To give you an example, I'm working with a young man. I've known him for a long time, but he's a single parent. He's bringing up 2 children on his own. He's been renting a house for the last 7-8 years. In the north side of Dublin. Landlord now has told him he's selling the house and he's going to have to leave. That man is going to become homeless with his 2 children before Christmas. He has no hope of getting alternative rented accommodation within the price range that the rent supplement or the HAP scheme will allow him to. He's done a terrific job bringing up 2 lovely children. He's had no problem paying his rent every month and maintaining his property in very good conditions. That is the new profile of homeless people. People like him who could be any of us.
And that's the big point. It could be any of us. And Father Peter McVerry, thank you very much for bringing us those details of that advertising campaign from your organisation this morning. A lot of talk about homelessness. By the way, in the second hour, we're going to be talking to Kerry O'Neill about mortgages, so it's certainly a connected issue. And perhaps with all this talk about homelessness, we're forgetting about all the people in mortgage arrears and those challenges facing a lot of people across County Wicklow as well. By the way, would you be able to cycle from Bray to Istanbul? Well, that's what Daniel McDermott is doing. He's going to be joining us. A very interesting story indeed. I'll be back in the next hour on The Morning Show. The news is next.
The EBS Big 2% Reasons to Talk.
Fact 1. 2% of people think that Brian Boru is a craft beer.